Welcome back. So let's get to the dailies. Ambrose Igboke joins us. Mr. Igboke, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know whether you've been able to get, I don't know whether you're a football person, but at least you're a patriot. I will say that for a fact. Maybe your quick comment on what we'll be discussing, because literally a lot of guys are just trying to manage their emotions this morning, given what has played out in Rabat, Morocco. Before I allow you to give us your take on what the dailies are leading with.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. Well, Nigeria played very well in my own estimation. They battled the midfield with Morocco. They had good shots on target. I don't think they held the host nation, the hostile host nation, to 90 minutes. They won 20 and then lost out in penalties. So I don't think anybody can blame the team. The team played very well. And we hope that they can get a consolatory bronze medal so that at least we can say we came third and the silverware can be counted for Nigeria. Well, I was listening to Austin too, and it's very clear that we have not got our acts together, both at the national level and at the confederation level. When will Africa wake up? That is my question this morning.
Yeah, when will Africa wake up is a big one, and I hope that in the third place, as Bukola said, nobody seemed to be talking about it, but let's see how we can do. Maybe we'll switch on Yedika and put in the D and look at a few things. I'll be able to, because it means a lot of, you couldn't hold on to the ball for too long yesterday. Let's go to this Nigeria. This Nigeria is leading with, finally, FG ASU seal deal, unveil new agreement. Lecturers get 40% rise in salary, emolument to boost morale. Timeline unstated as deal isolates non-academic staff. TUC set for fresh showdown over Johesu salary stoppage. Is that okay?
Well, for me, I just think the federal government should do a comprehensive overhaul and review of salaries of some certain sector that are very sensitive to our national development. A situation where a director in CBN or DPR or NNPC or some of those, juicy parastatal are having, salaries triple or even sometimes 4 times higher than their colleagues, maybe in the academic sector or in the health sector or in the judiciary. That is not sustainable. That is not good enough. Just because they are working in offices that produce share the national cake does not mean they should take the whole cake. The person who shares the cake does not mean he owns the cake. And that is what has been happening. And so it has been very unfair. Even political office holders, the kind of allowances they give themselves salaries and then hold on and then mold and top up the allowances for themselves. And then the final take-home pay is just staggering. So finally, I want to commend President Tinubu for reversing some of those damages that were done by the Buhari administration. One of the biggest issues was that the Buhari administration went to put the academic into the IPPS, which is an integrated payment payroll system, which does not suit into the very peculiarity of academic environment and how they earn their money. For this negotiation has been going on since 2009. It saw Jonathan, he couldn't conclude it. It saw Buhari 8 years, couldn't complete it. And then just in 2 years plus, almost just 2.5 years, Tinubu was able to reach this agreement with ASU. So he must be commended for that, and that ASU agreeing also finally to see that, okay, let's manage what we get now while we continue working. The issue of university funding also is still there. It's not only about the salary that ASU was fighting for. University funding is there, research is there, and the autonomy of the university. Though ASU said these things have not been sorted out, but it's a good start.
Well, yes, indeed, and we hope to get more, perspectives to understand how, forward-looking this would be for the university community, especially from those last 2 points that you made about funding for university and the other one. But let's look at, other papers this morning. And the Vanguard seems to be taking us down memory lane to the coup that would define Nigeria's history forever. It's January 15, 1966, marking 60 years after the Nzogu coup. And, you know, many of us heard that story, Mr. Igbuke, you know, and it caused us to shiver, even after hearing it time and again. From what Vanguard is helping us understand, perhaps I should go through the headline first of all, before I ask the question. 60 years after, why Nzogu's coup was inevitable. That's ascribed to Major General Haruna, retired. And there are some writers there. The bloody coup that changed Nigeria forever. The Nzogu I interacted with by Alabi Isama. Story of coups in Nigeria. Akinola. The Ademulegun's call for Tinubu's attention. So what are the lessons that we've learned, you know, from that very defining experience 60 years after?
For me, I'm a student of history, and I've read a lot, and I'm very familiar with the happenings between 1960 to 1970, which was a very tortuous moment in Nigeria's, you know, early democracy years or independence years. That in a lot of my interventions on national TV on what is happening in Rivers State, I always try to allude or to compare it with what happened in 1964 that led to the coup. Because one of the things that triggered the coup was the Western Regional Parliament election that was held in 1964. We had the issues of SL Akitola and the other people who were there. In fact, electoral who were being thrown in jail. A lot of things happened. And we had some crisis, political crisis, that led to people being burnt on the streets called Operation Wet here, where you wet people with gasoline and burn them up and all those things. And the political class was being warned that we are going to throw this country into problem. Now, that was just in Western region. And it went to a conflagration. That was one of the reasons that the coupists, they said in 1966, 15 January. And unfortunately, that coup, 6 months later, in the 29 July 1966, the person who benefited from that, Babu Hiroshi, was also murdered in a counter coup in a mutiny led by the late Murtala Mohammed, and then Gowon became the you know, the head of state. But after that coup, the effects of that coup, the counter effects and all the things that led to that coup, finally led to killings and other things, led to the Biafra-Nigerian civil war, and which kills a lot of lives. Until today, we have not properly healed from that. Because some people are still viewed with suspicion, especially people from the eastern region that have not been allowed to even become president of the country. So a lot of you know, things, people that suffer from abandoned property that were seized, people that were impoverished by the 20-pound policy. Some of these people are still alive. Many of them are still alive, and they're still embittered by what happened. So we are more healed, and we don't want to make such mistakes anymore. So the coup was a very sad part of our history, and you know, led to a lot of mistrust, led to a lot of distrust among the various ethnic groups. And as we said in our, there's also the conflicting issues. And then some people are trying to weaponize this as ethnic coup, which is very, very sad. It is not true. A lot of people, all people from the various parts of the country participated in that coup. So I don't know why they want to attack a particular ethnic group as people who did that. So it is wrong, and those narratives should be killed. And those are the things that you know, destroy our unity as a nation. But whether we have learned, the political class behaves as if they don't know history. This current political class, we are still behaving as if we can't learn lessons from what happened to us 60 years ago. And it's very sad. For example, what is happening in Rivers State is one of the issues that we need to look at the democracy, where people just feel that they can hit up a state and you know, get away with it. So we don't want it to repeat itself. But Africa, Nigeria, just like the rest of Africa, suffered a lot of coup d'etats between 1960 to 1980, and that has been so sad for the country. But it's a lesson for the history of Nigeria, and that this present generation of office holders should learn from. And remember that, as we say in Igbo language, Ozemena, that another may not happen.
And that is the essence of today, really, to help these points you made percolate, so we build better moving forward. But a lot of people are still stuck on yesterday's match. So we have to just keep reiterating these things. The Guardian newspaper is next, Mr. Igboke, and it leads with this story that has been making the rounds. You see, ambassador's absence, desperation, expose FG's $9 million lobbying in the U.S. It's a page 6 read. In fact, the People's Democratic Party had declared the federal government's $9 million PR contract to Astor Legal in the U.S. as defective and deceptive. But this is where we are right now. Lobbying, by the way, is, in quote, legal in the United States. They found a way to sort of legalize it. So it's in quote, normal. But when you see the amount, $9 million, call it PR, call it lobbying, call it image laundering, whatever the case is. Do you think this is an inevitable evil in that sense, Mr. Igboke, seeing that we've had lots of issues with the U.S.?
Well, you know, you're spending $9 million to lobby a situation you created. You refuse to, you know, be effective in managing your country. You allow your citizens to be killed en masse in their hundreds of thousands over the years. You refuse to do nothing about it. Sometimes it seems that the terrorists have a field day. They are not even confronted in any way. You allow people to make inflammatory comments from political office holder, from religious leaders, they make inflammatory comments as if they live in a banana island apart from the rest of the world where nothing can touch them. Hear people saying that those who were killed, those who killed people are their brothers and they should not be touched. We are still talking about that with all this. Just some few days ago, a state government in the north said that they have released 70 killers and terrorists into the society. So when all these things come together, you find out that you are not running your country very well. And when the consequences start coming from foreign, other foreign partners and countries, you run back. The money that we have used to do other things, you now want to use it to pay some people to start lobbying for you. What kind of lobby? Some of these people, do they have access to the president? Do they have access to Donald Trump? Do they have access to the Congress people? So what are even lobbying? Somebody who have started a strike. The American government did a strike on the 25th of December. So what are you lobbying for exactly? So that means you don't understand. Now, again, that brings us to the question of ambassadors. Is the president trying to run this foreign embassies from the comfort of Aso Rock? I don't understand. We have never had this kind of foreign relations in its lowest ebb like this, where we don't have high commissioners, we don't have ambassadors. Ambassadors have been cleared, nominated ambassadors have been cleared because of we were rattled by what President Donald Trump did. We quickly named ambassadors. Yes, we are not deploying them. We are citing funding as a problem. Meanwhile, we are declaring surplus, that states are getting more money, FARC is getting more revenue, federal government is getting more money. What are they using the money for? Then instead of you to strategically deploy that, you are spending $9 million. Of course, we know what happens sometimes with this kind of money. There may be commissions here and there. Some people may earn something from that transaction. Those are how it goes. So who are those pushing for this? Instead of mobilizing funds to deploy our ambassadors designated that have been cleared by the Senate, so that we can have strong footing. Because the first interface from any country is with the ambassador, so that they can. The ambassador sometimes reaches back home to say what transpired. But when you don't have any, no country takes you seriously. So even this money you are paying, I'm sorry, you're just going to go down the drain and line some people's pockets. Nothing happens. Donald Trump will still do what he needs to do, and we come back home. Let us get serious and fight these terrorists to a standstill and defeat them.
Quite an interesting perspective. You said, okay, I'll begin to look at this to see how it plays out eventually. But some people are saying if we had put our acts together, till today the presidency has not been able to explain satisfactorily why it delayed, whether it's cost or whatever, to get us these ambassadors in our embassies and high commissions. But let's go to the New Telegraph newspaper. New Telegraph newspaper says is leading with Trump freezes visa processing for Nigerians. 74 other nationals. Action threatens fans' ability to attend World Cup. U.S. Embassy reopens redesigned American Center in Abuja. Middle East tensions, U.S. pulling some personnel from Qatar Air Base official. Mr. Bouquet, the way it is, the behavior, the attitude, the temperament of Donald Trump, I don't know whether it was even a good idea to host this World Cup in America. Maybe we just allow them sort their issues out. Should have just allowed them so that let them do whatever they want to do, and then the world can announce whether they choose to go there or not. But what do you make of this?
Well, Jeffrey, the World Cup was, America was chosen to be the host of 2026 World Cup before Donald Trump became the president. But, you know, Donald Trump is somebody who rode on the popularity he had with the American public. And why did he have so much popularity? Because of the things he said he would do. And those things he said we do is what made him the president. And he's doing those things. So for me, I don't see any big deal in what he's doing, because that is what he said he will do. And for those countries, I feel that most of these countries that are on the blacklist of visa processing, and countries that America consider that are not very serious to their development, they are not serious. These countries are not serious to the MAGA mantra, that is make America great again. Because America will not stop visa processing for serious countries that they consider very vital to their national interests and development. So for Nigeria to fall on that list, it shows that America does not take Nigeria seriously in terms of partnership or equality of sovereignty, equality of partnership and collaboration. Because just to go back to some years back in the 80s and 90s, when Nigeria was taken as a very serious world leader, so we have gone down that low, and America is telling us that they can't process our visas. Imagine. So I also think that Nigerians should start looking for other destinations for studies, especially for work. Yeah, America is a very great society, freedom and all those things, but I think they are becoming too hostile to genuine Nigerians that are supposed to do this. And I don't know what kind of politics they are playing, because instead of focusing on those enablers of terrorism, focusing on public office holders who don't tackle terrorism, focusing on looters of our national treasury, they are busy suffering the citizens. So they should put sanctions. If they know that Nigeria is in their black book, they should put sanctions against those who enable this kind of terrorism and those that think that the people who are making Nigeria suffer, but not to put everybody in one loop and then where other people are suffering. Nigerians should, for study, for tourist visa, for all that kind of things, for work, I think Nigerians should start looking at other destinations rather than America until President Donald Trump finishes serving his tenure.
Interesting perspective. Maybe we'll take one more on that particular page before we let you go, Mr. Goke, because America, as far as America is concerned, according to Donald Trump, is them first and every other person second. So let's go to the top. Just a small story there. Importers face 1.77 trillion naira loss over marketers' preference for local products. That's the issue around PMS. You know, issue around PMS is hot button as far as Nigeria is concerned. Anything that affects our transportation in that sense, and PMS is key to this. What do you make of this particular story? Because there's the argument of not allowing ourselves to have just one source of supply. But the other counter argument is, yes, you could have different sources of supplies, but we're building towards energy security. How come imported product looks cheaper than the one we produce locally? So there is a mismatch somewhere. What do you make of this story?
Well, according to Grapevine, that one of the things that made the Dangote and the Farouk issue was that they were issuing, new licenses, multiple import licenses for people to bring in PMS and other petroleum products. And Dangote was asking, I have the capacity to supply this, so why So I think also that we should be very careful what we are complaining that we are losing revenue by importing refined products. So why are we bent on losing revenue? We convert our naira to dollars to pay for refined products that are produced in Nigeria. Something must be wrong with us. So the best way why we are afraid of a single monopoly in the business, it cannot happen. But the government can negotiate with Dangote and say, okay, look, import is this is that, but can we keep the price down? Dangote said he has been trying to keep prices down too over the year, better than what the importers are offering Nigerians. So again, it's a capitalist market, but no capitalist market flows against its own self. That is why Trump is saying Trump is America first, protectionism, having sanctions. If you give us higher tariff, we give you back the highest tariff. That is what countries are doing to protect themselves. But here, we do crude here. I think, you know, the whole of OPEC nations, we are the only ones that do this kind of voodoo economics. We just produce this thing. We don't refine. We sell crude. Then we go outside, bring crude with hard currency and forex. Nobody does that. That makes it a very serious country. So if Dangote can be encouraged to ensure that his capacity is encouraged to supply locally, let's say they're already selling to him in naira, the crude, and that's a good development. So it doesn't put stress on the naira. And maybe that is why the naira bounced from maybe almost 2,000 to $1 down to like almost 1.4 something now. Because if we keep on changing money for to just bring in things into for forex, then we are just spending forex for consumption, which is very wrong. So while LMPC is not encouraged to give multiple licenses, at the same time, they should just give restricted licenses so that Dangote will not be a monopoly. Because once you become a monopoly again, things. But the ultimate solution is that the Nigerian government should please have shame for once, fix your refineries, or sell them out. Let the refineries function. Instead of saying that about monopoly of Dangote, build more refineries, do the ones you have and let them start functioning. Then we can have competitions. But the competition surely is not to increase import licenses.
Well, Mr. Ogoke, voodoo economics is the key word here. As far as the oil sector is concerned, you wonder who's, profiting more. Is it the Nigerian state or the in the oil industry players, especially with the continued importation of petrol, despite having a homegrown refinery that is daily increasing production. So we have so many questions in that regard to ask. But we have just time enough for one more story, which is also, making headlines, hugging the headlines closely, as a matter of fact, in the last couple of weeks. Let's return to the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And right there at the bottom of the big picture on the right-hand corner, as you look at your screen, you see the picture of the River State governor there, Fubara. Cracks emerge as more Rivers lawmakers push back on Fubara's impeachment. Two more lawmakers spoke up yesterday and asked the River State governor to retrace their steps as they seek a political solution to the crisis in Rivers State. The lawmaker from Obiakpor, to be precise, spoke about how she consulted with the FCT minister, Wike, whom she described as her constituent, and he told her to follow her conscience. How are you processing the developments in Rivers State? And will you bring about, is it turning a corner as far as Rivers politics is concerned?
If the president of the Federal Republic allows impeachment to take place in Rivers State, then we are heading for a very, very unpredictable, precipice that may not augur well. Just like I said about the example of the 1964 Western Regional Parliament elections. Anything in a state like Rivers can be very volatile for Nigeria. So it should not be allowed to even happen. So it is good that, these things that between the River State governor and the House of Assembly members can easily be resolved among themselves if there was no hand of Esau in this things, if the FCT minister was not unduly involved in this. Because the House of Assembly members seem to be taking directives from him and seem to not be in charge of their own affairs. and they're waiting for people to dictate, things to them to do. And these are constituted the loggerhead what they have been having with the governor. So the Rivers people are speaking up. It is good that elders are speaking up. It is good that people are speaking up too. And we also heard from the grapevine that the president is also intervening. And it is also good that some of the lawmakers are now saying that, oh, no, this is not good for our state, because the state belongs to all of them. It doesn't belong to Nyesom Wike alone. It doesn't belong to Martin Amawule alone. So they have to work, because the person who is the CEO of the state and chief secretary of the state is the governor. So whether some few individuals like him or not, he's still the man on the seat. And trying to remove him through the back door, trying to teach him a lesson, as the case may be, is not the way to go. And all the actors should be called to order, and this thing should be resolved in favor of Rivers State. Because at the end of the day, this is about the politics of 2027, where somebody has vowed that the governor cannot go back, and that if he goes back, his own political career is over. So it's not a fight for Rivers State. The FCT minister is not fighting for Rivers State people. He's fighting for his own political survival. And in doing that, he recruited the House of Assembly members to join that. And it's good development that some of them are saying, no, we can change this. We can actually do this in another way. We need peace in Rivers State. The people of Rivers need more dividends of democracy. They shall allow the governor work so that the people of Rivers State can, get some good dividends of democracy.
Okay, thank you so much. Chairman, Guild of Public Affairs Analyst, Enugu State. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show.
We'll take a break. When we come back after this break, we'll get to more on the conversation we've lined up for you today. Stay with us.